What do we got going on?
Before we even get going, what's going on? We already got a run in a $4.99 super chat in the house from Swag Official 113 says, "What's your opinion on DK Metcalf? ? Should Dallas trade for him?"
Ooh, we'll let EJ. EJ, would you trade for DK Metcalf if you had the ability to?
I asked a question on my Twitter, which Boys in the Zone on Twitter or X, whatever. If you want to follow me, that's the letter N, not IN. I asked the question, would you rather trade for DK Metcalf, Cooper Kupp, sign Devontae Adams, or draft a wide receiver with the first-round pick? And a lot of people came back with the trade for DK Metcalf. He's a legitimate X wide receiver. He allows CeeDee Lamb to work as that Z, work in that slot. He's a guy that is good again on the boundary. He can outrun players. He's physical. He's one of those guys that can win with his route running as well. He's an underrated route runner now. A lot of people don't think that he's a good route runner, but he legitimately is. So as far as trading for him, it would depend upon the compensation we'd send back to Seattle. But like a third rounder, absolutely I would.
Yeah, a third round. I think that'd be nice because all the reasons you just mentioned, you're more than likely going to get a guy that can step in right away. Whereas if you're going to draft a receiver in the third round, you still don't necessarily know what you're going to get when they get into the NFL, right? I think if you could get DK Metcalf for a third round draft pick, like this year's third round, I'd like to say 2026 just because, but if you could get him even for this year for a third round, and then you'd have to maybe shake and move to try to get into the fourth just so that you have some picks. But I would love to get DK Metcalf.
Where does Seattle pick in the draft? Because
18.
if it's like 18, yeah, I would be willing to go like pick swap too,
right,
with the first round and then throw in a fifth or something like that if they were interested in that.
Yeah,
as
no,
well.
That's actually a good idea because we've messed around a little bit with the drafts, and moving back to 18, you're still going to get a pretty decent player. And DK Metcalf immediately upgrades this offense. Like now you have legitimate two weapons at wide receiver.
Brent Packer guy saying the Seahawks want a first, another pick, and a player.
That's fucked.
And not a third. So
that's fucked.
They're not getting a first for him, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
I believe they'll command a second from someone. The thing is, you need to basically trade and then sign him. If I'm reading this correctly, he has a almost $32 million cap hit this season. But he's got 1 year left, so it's super likely that whoever trades for him will be able to sign him for an extension. Yeah.
Sign in and extend.
But still, I would say he's probably going to end up in the realm of the $25 million, give or take $3 million, after you do it. So
But if that was your plan, like let's say you trade for him and then you want to extend him, you could get 2 more years and bring down his current cap number, spreading it across the 3 years too. Yeah. So it's not like you have to be, pigeonholed into that 32 million this year.
I would take it. I would take it. What was out of the things you had? Sorry, AJ.
It's sign Adams, trade for Kupp, trade for DK, draft a first round.
What was you said the consensus was draft for DK. What was the second? Draft a wide receiver?
There wasn't actually a lot of people saying that. Lockett's another guy. I see Lockett as more of a Brandon Cooks replacement. He's not going to be a guy that you legitimately believe is going to be your number 2 for a long time. So he's a guy that can come in and play that Brandon Cooks role. That's why I really didn't add him there. Another guy would be Chris Godwin. Of the Bucks, who's coming off that injury. He would be, possible to sign, but it seemed like a lot of people said the trade for DK and then surprisingly sign Adams. A lot of people said, but Adams has been on record saying that he really wants to play with A-Rod. So
yeah, for the Giants. Get ready to welcome A-Rod and Devontae Adams to the NFC East. It just won't be the Cowboys.
Really depends if you can trade DK for trading a third for him.
You don't have to use a pick on a wide receiver though, as long as you extend DK.
That's what I mean. Like DK Metcalf's better than any third round graded player.
We do have a high third, so that would be the only thing. But I think that probably someone is going to offer a second for him. Something more than the Cowboys will play.
Would you, AJ, would you do the scenario I had you pick swap? So they pick at 12, you pick the 18 spot, and then you give them one of your 5th round comp picks.
Like you move back to 18 from your 12th.
Oof, that's really good.
I like it.
I say yeah, because then it frees up your second and third. If your plan was so you're giving up the chance of getting Gente. Let's just say that's the that's what you're giving up, even though
I think Jinx is going to be gone. But then this also adds like Omarion Hampton. He's a first round grade for me. And I really like the kid. At 12, it's steep though. At 18, it's a little bit more palatable.
We just took our last draft, we drafted Omarion Hampton at 16. We traded back to 16 and took him at 16. So that's what I mean. Like at 18, you're still able to kind of do what you want to do, but you're picking up your one or your 1B or 1A, whatever you want to call it for your wide receiver. Because now imagine CeeDee Lamb and DK Metcalf on the field at the same time.
Oh,
it's terrifying.
Dude. Jenkins Gaming says take Golden 2. Imagine Golden, Lamb, and DK on the same squad. At that point, you probably wouldn't.
At that point, I think we got an embarrassment of riches, but you can't say no.
At that point, I don't think you would. I don't think you would draft a wide receiver in the first.
Hey, fucking YOLO, Brolo. Why the hell not? Do it. I like it. Bring Golden down here. Let's go.
Some people say they like to have 2 wide receiver number 1s on the team. We like to have 3 wide receiver number 1s on the team.
Sorry,
EJ and I are both dying.
Yeah. The thing is with Brian Schottenheimer and in his prior coaching stint with Seattle, he's going to be wanting to run the ball.
Yep.
Now you trade for DK, a player that Brian Schottenheimer has a past with as well. Well, maybe not. He might have been
just missed
prior. Yeah, just missed. But Tyler Lockett that brings in if you want to sign him because I know he was there.
Well, and Lockett's also released, so you could pick. They could pick Lockett. Yeah. They could potentially pick Lockett up in free agency.
He has some ties with Shoddy in the past as well. You see what your division rival did in Philadelphia, taking a player like Saquon Barkley, adding him to their already very talented roster and putting them over the top, leaning on him and understanding what you have in your quarterback. I'm not saying that Dak Prescott isn't better than Jalen Hurts or the other way around, whatever it is, but I think that he plays better when his running game is good. And so with that knowledge, you have to accept, like, if you did trade for DK for the third or the pick swap or whatever it is, you're probably not going to double dip and get another wide receiver. It's probably going to be Jalen Tolbert taking that step again, or hoping that he takes that step. You got Jonathan Mingo. You got to figure out what happens with him. You use the tender on Devontae Turpin. If somebody picks him up, you get another second round pick. So it's one of those things. I really think the Cowboys are going to hammer a running back early, first round, second round. I'd be surprised if it's third round, but I really do believe second round is that sweet spot for them.
I would so I'm the complaint I think that you'd hear in that trade scenario would be you're passing on Giante, blah blah blah. Okay. But like I agree with you. I think he's going to be drafted potentially by San Francisco right before us anyways. Yep. But you're
Raiders,
right.
Chicago.
He's probably going to sneak into that top 10.